What's up? Amateur Lore here, and we're back ranking stadiums, specifically Atlantic Coast Conference or ACC stadiums. And if you watch my videos, you know while I'm ranking the stadiums, I'm also going to throw in some of the best games I've seen at that stadium, like all my other videos. Quick side note, stadiums are like women. Some men like a BBL or a big stadium, while others prefer something a little slim and natural, or a smaller, more scenic stadium. Point is, we all have different stadium preferences, so if you disagree, comment down below and let's talk about it. That's why I made this channel, for college football discourse. Anyway, like, sub, blah, 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 let's get into it. Okay, so first off, I just want to say I'm sorry to all my Pitt Panthers fans watching this video. I really am. But there had to be a team that came in last place, unfortunately, when ranking these ACC stadiums, and that just happens to be Acrisure Stadium, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I guess home of the Pitt Panthers as well. Holding around 68,000, this stadium is nothing to scoff at, as one of my favorite YouTubers, Tom Grossi, spoke on his experience when talking about this stadium, which was mostly positive, saying this venue is a place that once you walk in, you know you're in football paradise. The problem is this stadium is mostly known for Steelers football, and personally, I'm not a fan of teams that share stadiums because a lot of the times there are empty seats at home games. If Pitt ever had their own stadium, and if it looked anything like their basketball arena, I'm sure it would be ranked higher. Also, just to clarify, if this was an NFL video, this stadium would be ranked higher. As for the best game I've seen here, it would have to be in 2021 when Kenny Pickett would lead his team to victory against conference opponent North Carolina in an overtime thriller.
Here comes the ball game for North Carolina. The pressure's on. How he gets out of it. Throws it up. Ball game.
Next up, we're literally on the same vibes when talking about Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Miami Hurricanes and also the Miami Dolphins, because once again, this college team shares this stadium with the pro team. Holding around 65,000, this stadium is such an awesome place to catch a game, as I've personally seen Florida win the Orange Bowl against Virginia here a couple of years ago, and I've attended many Dolphins games because my dad is the biggest Dolphins fan in the world. If you don't believe me, ask our broken TV. I don't want to get into too much details about the stadium like I will the other ACC schools, because like the first stadium of this video, it is shared and I'm not really a big fan of that. And if you have been to the stadium in person, if the seats were not teal, you wouldn't know a team from Miami played here, because there isn't much memorabilia of the home teams. For the best game I've seen the Canes play here, it's easily in 2017 when they hosted number 3 Notre Dame and gave them the beats.
Adams is back in the game. Book delivers a dart, intercepted. Look out! Trajan Bandy, the true freshman, break out the chain again.
Okay, so we're finally done with all the shared football stadiums, so let's move on to the stadium I recently just put into an underrated college football stadiums video. Go check that out after this. Anyway, I'm talking about Allegiance Stadium, home of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Holding around 31,000, this stadium is in the lower tier when it comes to capacity in the ACC. But let's all be honest, does a football program like Wake Forest need any more seats? I think where they're at is fine. The 2 walls of seat on each side, with one side having an extra layer of box seats on top of it, is a design that I like, but I'm just saying it won't be the last we see of this, because a lot of the lower tier ACC stadiums share this design. Also, you can never go wrong with the grassy knoll. In the exterior, while not anything imposing, it does give the outside of the stadium some life. For the best game I've seen here that I already haven't chosen would have to be the time the Demon Deacons and North Carolina State got into a shootout back in 2021.
School record for touchdown passes, very much in reach for him. Back to throw once again. To the end zone and caught! Hartman can be so dangerous running the football as well. Ellison straight on, and he is in. Touchdown!
Coming in 14th place, we have Wallace Wade Stadium, home of the Duke Blue Devils. Holding around 40,000, this stadium is probably as simple as it gets in Power 5 football, as it's just a simple horseshoe with one side having a couple box seats above it. With how good Duke's football program has been lately, we could be seeing some possible renovations. I also like the addition of the dark blue chairback seats around the 50-yard line. You can never go wrong with adding some colors to the seat. For the best game I've seen here, that would have to be last year when Duke upset number 9 Clemson at home.
Riley Leonard, if you didn't know the name, you're going to be hearing it a lot for the rest of the season. Waters inside the 10. Waters making a house call with the exclamation point on this one.
Next up, we have Gerald J. Ford Stadium, home of the SMU Mustangs. Wait, what? The SMU Mustangs in the ACC? Yep, it's 2024 and conferences in college football don't make any sense. Anyway, this gem of a stadium is somewhere in the top 3 in the ACC for smallest stadiums, as it only holds 32,000. But man, is this stadium pretty to look at. I might be a sucker for colored seats, but don't we all agree those red and blue seats are sick? Say what you want, but at least the Mustangs love America. The seat design is pretty simple, as it's just a horseshoe with an extra deck and a layer of box suites on one side of the field. Normally, I'm not a fan of open end zones, but the trees that are in the background of the scoreboard fill in the empty space really well. Even though I do believe they plan to renovate the end zone and add some end zone seating in the future. Who knows? SMU might become a powerhouse and this stadium might move up in the future. As for the best game I've seen here, it would have to be in 2019 when SMU and ECU would put up over 100 points in a shootout.
3 more opportunities to gain 10. On the rollout, long toss downfield, pass complete, touchdown! rushing touchdowns today. They go to the air looking for...
In 12th place, we have Alumni Stadium, home of the Boston College Golden Eagles. Holding around 44,000, this stadium is the perfect size for a school like Boston College. And speaking of the number 12, you know Boston College is one of the few schools with an NFL MVP in Matt Ryan and a Defensive Player of the Year in Luke Kuechly. Don't sleep on this school. I know it's on the smaller end, but it pumps out top-tier NFL talent on the regular. Okay, enough of me pushing the Boston College agenda. Back to the stadium. I like how simple the design is. Just a lower bowl with a smaller upper deck section on each side of the stadium. Also, I believe one of the ends of the stadium actually connects to Boston College's basketball arena, which is sick. The exterior is okay. I wish it blended in with the campus just a bit more, but it's still fine. For the best game I've seen here, we have to go all the way back to 2010 when the Golden Eagles would take down Virginia Tech.
Right now if you're Matt Ryan.
Plenty of time. Cannot take a sack here. Ryan will fire.
Oh,
the end zone.
Oh!
Open for a touchdown is Callender.
Alright, so coming in 11th place, we have one that might be controversial, or not, I'm not really sure, it all depends on your personal taste. JMA Wireless Dome, home to the Syracuse Orange. Holding around 49,000, this makes the Wireless Dome the largest dome stadium on a college campus, which I guess is kinda cool. But if you can't already tell, I'm not really the biggest fan of dome stadiums, unless we're talking about the Fargo Dome. I will say though, the seating layout is nice and the scoreboard is sick, and does anyone else think that the ring-like structure on the top of the dome looks like a roller coaster? I do, and I think it's awesome. As for the best game I've seen here, we have to go back to the Orange's last 10-win season in 2018 when they faced the 22nd ranked NC State Wolfpack in a shootout.
Orange 3rd and goal, and they'll run it, and they'll score.
Speaking of the Wolfpack, starting our top 10 off, we have Carter Finley Stadium, home of the NC State Wolfpack. Man, I love this stadium. It's super simple and not the biggest, as it holds around 58,000. But just like me, the stadium makes up for its lack of size with charm. With just a lower bowl and an upper deck on each side with a layer of box suites above one of the decks, this field doesn't take many risks as the exterior is pretty simple. And I do wish the stadium was a little closer to the campus, even though 4 miles isn't really that far. Also, shout out to PNC Arena, home of the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes. You can see the arena from Carter Finley Stadium, which is cool. Also, those chairback red seats at the end of the end zones give the stadium a lot of character. For the best game I've seen here, we don't have to go back far, as in 2022, NC State would exercise the 21st ranked Wake Forest Demon Deacons.
Hartman has to move again. Throws and incomplete.
Coming in at our number 9 spot in my ACC Stadiums rankings, we have Scott Stadium, home of the Virginia Cavaliers. Holding around 60,000, this stadium design is even simpler than the last stadium mentioned was, but far exceeds the previous stadium in aesthetic to me. The seating design is just a horseshoe with a deck above it, which is cool, but what I really like about this stadium is the hill of grass at the end of one of the end zones, with those pillars. It's not much, but it's just enough to give this field life. Also, I can't forget about all the trees surrounding the field and campus. It's one of the things that makes college stadiums so unique. You won't find many pro stadiums in the middle of a forest like you would in college. For the best game I've seen here, we go to 2019 when the Cavs faced their in-state rivals Virginia Tech in a heated matchup.
This place just is ready to lose its mind.
Score where the quarterback can run it.
3rd and 21 from the end zone. Hooker. The ball came out. Virginia has it.
And at number 8, we have a newcomer to the ACC. I bet you forgot Stanford joined the ACC because Lord knows I did. Anyway, Stanford Stadium, as it is called, believe it or not, is home to the Stanford Cardinal and holds around 50,000. And I hope that the trees around the stadium are called redwoods because that's what I'm going with. Whatever they are called, they give this stadium so much aura. The way the wood surrounds the field is just such a good look. This stadium is top 5 college stadiums in California, hands down. And those red seats are just perfect. I know the stadium is super simple, but it's Stanford. What do you expect? And please comment down below if you missed when David Shaw and the Cardinals were a top 5 team every year. The best game I've seen here, we have to go all the way back to 2015 when Notre Dame came to visit the Stanford Cardinal.
They hand it off to Adams. Adams breaks it. Midfield. Look at his speed. He's a freshman. See you later. Touchdown Notre Dame. Play fake. Hogan rolling. Looks backside.
Okay, for the next stadium, we're staying with another newcomer to the ACC, and also staying in the state of California, for California Memorial Stadium, home of the Cal Golden Bears. What are these teams from California doing in the Atlantic Coast Conference? Regardless, this stadium right here is low-key one of my favorites. I really like the watered-down Roman Coliseum exterior. It's nothing crazy, but it gives the stadium life. And if you watch my Big Ten ranking videos, you know I'm a sucker for big lower bowls. But my favorite feature of the stadium has to be that one side is above the ground while the other side is literally right next to the street. Say what you want, but I don't see that often in college football, and personally, I just really like it. like it. And don't get me started on the greenery. I know Cal Berkeley is like 6 hours away from LA, but to me the stadium looks like it's right in the middle of Hollywood Hills. I love it. For the best game I've seen here, it would have to be last year when they played the 24th ranked Trojans.
Swing to Thomas. Has some blocking. Thomas blocking. Thomas touchdown.
Coming in 6th place before we reach our top 5 is Bobby Dodd Stadium, home of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I literally already glazed this stadium in another video I did and was literally waiting as long as I could possibly get away with before I had to rank this stadium because personally, I like it so much. It's one of the few I've seen in person, and something about me is I love stadiums that have city skyline views. That's why the MLB and minor league ballparks have a special place in my heart. When it comes to college stadiums, there are not many with a downtown skyline view, which is why I have Bobby Dodd ranked so high. Even though it only holds around 55,000, the way it perfectly fits into Georgia Tech's campus and the amazing city view more than make up for its lack of size. For the best game I've seen here, we have to go back to 2015 when the Jackets upset the number 9 FSU Noles. Go Gators.
3 from the left hash to remain unbeaten and perhaps a player in the college football playoff and the 29th consecutive conference win. Blocked! Snuffed! Rubbed out! Erased! And Georgia Tech with an opportunity. Austin still on his feet. One man. You can't believe what just happened. What a time to be alive.
Starting our top 5 off, we have Kenan Stadium, home of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Holding a capacity of 51,000, you might be surprised I have this stadium ranked this high. Or not if you've watched my underrated stadium video. Then you would know that I really like this stadium. And I've said this before already, but I'll say it again. This stadium probably has my favorite colored seats. The Tar Heel baby blue seats make the stadium pop so much. I think a big reason I have this stadium ranked so high is how effortlessly it blends in with the surrounding campus, with the added bonus of all the pretty trees around it. A lot of people do say this is the prettiest stadium in all of college football, and I can see why. As for the best game I've seen here, we go to last year when the Tar Heels shocked their rivals Duke in a double OT thriller.
May the clap. He'll move the pocket to the right. Drake will keep it. And score! How about that? It's tonight in his second career start, trying to tie the game. Throws, end zone, no, and that's it. Carolina keeps the victory bell in double overtime.
Next up, we have L&N Federal Credit Stadium, home of the Louisville Cardinals. This stadium is by far the most modern in the ACC, as every single one of the 61,000 seats are chairback, which is something no other college stadium has, which is quite impressive. The red seats are a nice touch, and the slight brick exterior isn't too shabby either. My favorite part of the stadium would have to be the end zone seating. With 2 scoreboards in the Adidas-shaped upper deck, I could be wrong, and please correct me if I am wrong, but I don't think any other college has end zone seating like that. And both the upper decks have super unique and weird architecture to it. This stadium is amazing, point blank. As for the best game I've seen in the house Lamar Jackson built, it would have to be back in 2016 when the Cardinals gave number 2 Noles a spanking.
Jackson, look out! Makes a cut. Why not spin in for another touchdown? Unbelievable.
Coming in at number 3, we have Lane Stadium, home of the Virginia Tech Hokies. Holding a capacity at around 65,000, this stadium is just 4 separate stands of seats with varying sizes. You have 2 giant walls of seats on the sidelines, then at each end zone you have a small area of seating with a scoreboard, and on the other a giant wall of seating without a scoreboard. To say they literally just added stuff as time went on is an understatement, but gosh does it look fire to me. That's not even mentioning the exterior. It's literally a castle. I have no idea what castles and Hokies have in common, but it looks amazing. And when you add Enter Sandman, Enter Hokies on top of that, yeah, this is top 3 without a doubt. For the best game I've seen here, that was back in 2021 when Virginia Tech upset the 10th ranked Tar Heels.
Howell rolling out, wants to throw it back, didn't have the time to. Howell whips it, and it's tipped, and it's juggled, and it's Connor!
It stands. First down.
Virginia Tech gets the interception.
Receiving the silver medal in our ACC stadium rankings is Memorial Stadium, home of the Clemson Tigers. This stadium gets loud, it's huge as its capacity holds around 80,000, and Lord, I hope they never remove that hill that players run down at the beginning of games because it gives the stadium so much character. And I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I love when traditions are rooted within the stadium. Like every player touching Howard Rock running down that hill gives me goosebumps every time they show it on TV. The new addition to the end zone looks so good and modern, and would be an amazing spot to sit down and catch a game. I'd also be lying if I said I wasn't a fan of the orange sprinkled around the stadium, especially the Clemson on one of the huge upper decks. What more can I say about Clemson Stadium or Death Valley? It's a college football holy land. Oh yeah, also comment down below which school has the real Death Valley, LSU or Clemson. I want to know what you guys think. For the best game I've seen here, it has to be in 2016 when Clemson and Louisville linked up for a top 5 matchup.
Range already.
12 men on the field for
Some confusion. A flag comes in, a free play. Watson fires back. Catches Leggett open. Leggett rumbling free. Dead inside the 10, scores!
Coming in at number 1 is unfortunately Doak Campbell Stadium, home of the FSU Seminoles. If you guys know anything about me, you know I'm a huge Gator fan, and me no like the Seminoles, but damn, I'd be lying if I said this stadium wasn't marvelous, as it holds around 80,000, and you can hear every single one of them when they do the war chant. I love the giant wall of seats on the sidelines, and the new chairback seats at one of the end zones are a cool touch, and the coloring is cool as well. But I think the best part of this stadium by far is the amazing exterior. There really isn't anything like it in this conference. It blends in so well with the campus. I've been to the stadium many times in person. The outside of the stadium looks just like all the other campus buildings. I'm not sure if this is true, but I believe they hold classes in some of the exterior buildings outside of the stadium. I could be wrong though, I don't know. It's truly a one-of-a-kind stadium though, but not better than the Swamp, but it's pretty cool. For the best game I've seen here that isn't a game they lost to Florida, that would have to be in 2014 when they barely squeaked out a win against the Fighting Irish.
Golson rolls, fires, side, touchdown! A flag is down, hold on. There's a flag on the field.
interference with a pick.
Pass interference on the offense. Number 7. 15-yard penalty. Replay fourth down.
Golson steps up, loops to the end zone. Intercepted in the back line.